Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Okay, hold on a minute. All right. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Speak Mars, host of SOS, the shout out show. Hollering at you. This is it. We are quickly coming to the end of the first week of Ramadan. I hope everybody is having a blessed fast. Your iftars are hearty. Your Taraweeh is full and robust. I just wish everybody the best at this period of time of year. We just want to send a shout out to the Whitfield family, of course. You know, our sister Tana is a health family member. We, of course, send sincere duas to her that everybody there is well. And I want to say this is such a beautiful time of year, but you know, realistically, we're fasting. We're really trying to do that self-discovery, self-renewal, spiritual rejuvenation. We have a lot of things that are going on, but the thing that I think we should make sure that we do is, make space for our elderly, sure that they're doing okay. Because we have a lot of elderly who, at this point in time, they feel a little lonely, isolated a little bit because they're not able to fast. And some of that happens due to age, of course. And there'll come a time for myself, I won't be able to fast like I used to. So, for myself and for everybody else that's able to fast, make the most of your fast. Our topic today is it's Ramadan. Why aren't we celebrating Black history? I left the we out of there. It's Ramadan. Why aren't we celebrating Black history? You know what? I have to say this, and not being, dismissive, but I'm having a bit of a double consciousness during the month of February because I'm literally, you know, am I celebrating Black excellence, resistance? Am I celebrating spiritual renewal, being introspective about my life, my spirit, my connection was high? Um, can they peacefully coexist? I think they can. I think they can, but it does warrant some type of redress in terms of how we're seeing ourselves, particularly African Americans. Um, we don't necessarily talk about Ramadan in the space where we're going, hey, this it's Ramadan. This is Black History Month. Black History Month doesn't move. Ramadan moves around because, of course, this is according to a lunar calendar, 180 days. But Black history is here. Given everything that's happened, this current administration, I really feel like it's vital to hold on and promote the importance, the relevance, and vitality of Black excellence in the United States. I think we need to be doing it. But at the same time, it's like, we have this fard of Ramadan. This is one of our 5 pillars, and we need to be doing that. I guess the question is, can you do both? I mean, we're gonna talk about that a little bit. Maybe, maybe come up with a formula, or just understanding how we can be effective doing both. So, um, that's about that. Shout out, we haven't found it, but to Savannah Guthrie. Inshallah, we're all praying for you that your mother is found and she's unharmed. That's number one. And number two, want to shout out to all the people that won, American hockey players and skiers and everybody that won over in Milan. Shout out. It takes a lot of dedication. Um, Lindsey Vonn is in the hospital in Brooklyn. So shout out to everybody that go, you know what, not just to Olympians, shout out to everybody that gets out there, toughest situation, and they try to give it a go for it. They go for it. You know what? They throw away convention, and the goal is what they want, and that's what they focus on. So shout out to everybody who has sometimes we have a one track that goal. All right. So listen, I'm gonna be back. Started. And hey man, this be interesting show. Okay. Speak tomorrow. No more. We're back. Thanks for hanging in there. We're gonna give a shout out to your family. They are diehards. They want to shout out my man and She. I think we start off with Ramadan Green. Good brother. Hope you're doing well. Peace and blessings to you and your family. You should be right out about this off. Like, yeah, maybe completely correct. But thank you for tuning in. I want to give a shout out to my main man, JT. Lahi wa barakatuh. And of course, Ramadan Mubarak. And I want to talk about JT fasting with got another one here, Jay. Got another one in. And everybody who's on Instagram land. I don't know if there are a lot of people. We got Faith Reason Radio. How you doing? We got Jay Farahi. How you doing? Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Mir, Rick Ball. Mir Iqbal. I think same. Sorry. Queens Steam. How you doing? Ramadan Kareem, Faith and Reason Radio. Sister Fitra Rashid. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salima Yasmin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak to all of you. Amir Ali, my main man. I haven't seen you in a minute. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Mubarak. September Group Media. Thank you for joining us. Hey, wa alaikum wa barakatuh. Ramadan to you. Ramadan Mubarak and Elias 11 Ellis. Thank you for joining. So the burgeoning of my soul today, as I think about Black History Month and Ramadan, these things have been concurrent in my life, together for over 30 years, 30 years plus, maybe those 40 years. And it never really hit me until maybe last year. It weighed on me a little bit, but this year is different. This year is different because I don't want to say like we're under siege, but the environment for peace, reasoning, and logic has shifted dramatically. And I think the integrity of political officials and laws and statutes that they support, they've been, I want to say, undermined by their actions. Their actions don't match up to their words, and words don't match up to their actions. So I can say that there's a bit of pessimism, if you will. There's a little bit of pessimism on my part. I feel like there's a little bit of lethargy on the part of people who are not stepping up to the plate, being who they say they are, doing what they say they're going to do, and I want to say advocating for those who are less than. When we talk about Black history, the thing that's interesting about Black history is that it is tied to Islamic history here in the United States. That we do have on record that you had slaves that fasted. Al Juma, who um, they knowing that they wouldn't get back to make Hajj, they acted it out in slave fields. This is deep. But I think the thing that is apparent and painfully apparent is that even when I was in school, and I'm talking about up to high school, not just elementary school, and we have Black History Month, there was never an effort to combine the presence of Islam in America as presented to the African Americans through Law's Foundation, Ahmadiyya's Nation of Islam, and the struggle of African Americans all together, and put it in a place where it was a nice fit. The story arc was applicable as well. When I say the story arc was applicable, that we can look at different sections and understand that there were people who were there, who thought differently, who prayed differently. So I guess one thing now is, when it's not these are not two things that are fighting, but because they're not being introduced correctly, I feel like, or the discourse isn't there. What I kind of feel like, and I could be wrong, is that the value of it is not what it should be. The value of it, like every time they talk about Ramadan here in the United States, um, you know, it is this scope that somehow, some way, uh, Muslims are a lot more passive. That we wellspring of trying to connect with the Lord makes you passive, pensive. But the truth of it is, the other side of it is, it doesn't. You're dealing with all kinds of issues. You're dealing with denial of things that are halal for you. You know the haram, but you're denying yourself that you're creating a hunger that artificially it's an artificial hunger, right? You're creating situations, scenarios whereby you can't do that in any other situation you'd be able to do that. And then on the other side, with Black History Month, it's a history of people who were denied things. A history of people who could not go into restaurants, a history of people who could not sit in this theater, that they were denied things that should have been naturally availed to them under the Constitution, under this great, weird democracy, pass or fail, that said that all men were created equal. The thing about Islam is, you are connecting. You are connecting, you are submitting to the will of Allah. But on the other side, Black history is about what? Black resistance. That we fought things. We fought injustice, we fought racism, and you know, Ramadan, that's not enough, but with Ramadan, it in many regards, it fights the corruption of capitalism. It speaks against avarice. It motions us to say we can't be greedy in this period. We cannot be greedy. That this is a giving month. Hear me now. That this is a very giving month, and we should submit. On the other side, we resist, but here with Islam, we submit to our Lord. Here, if Black History Month is a history that's filled with verbiage, examples, shining examples of people who stood up to the verbiage, who challenged the verbiage in a way where it was comprehensive, whereby people who did not look like Black people were able to benefit. And let me not digress because this is not an argument, but I'm going to say this to Muslims. While we are definitely in this space that we call Ramadan, I think we should inherently celebrate Black history. I'm not saying throw up, non-alcoholic champagne and balloons, but I'm talking about a really directed, integrated, meaningful look at Black history and how it's benefited the Islamic community here in the United States. I can't say it any clearer. Now, the interesting thing, and you really have to search hard for this. The interesting thing is, if you talk to a man and get away from the annals and archives of not history, but his story, that there's a very close, intimate relationship between African Americans and Islam, and not just Black Muslims. One example I always, I like to lean on is a group in Chicago, man, uh, inner city Muslim action run by a friend of mine, Dr. Rami Nash. And the story goes that his people, he's Palestinian, but they grew up around Black people. And his family challenged folks who did things in business practices, Southside Chicago. They challenged folks who did things to Black people selling alcohol, weed, bad pork products, all of that. They didn't do back home. They said, if you're not doing it home, why are you doing it here? And then that rich quilt, if you will, that fabric established what they've been doing probably the last 25, 30 years. They are an amazing organization. They do the things that I wish some of our organizations did. You know, prison reentry, uh, interfaith work, fresh markets. I mean, they are invested in the wellness of Southside Chicago. And Southside Chicago recognizes that, and they have a very, very amazing and unique relationship. So I think that we do need to celebrate as much as we can the idea of African American excellence in the month of Ramadan. Because you start thinking about it, who are some of the people that we held so high as American Muslims, not even African American Muslims? We still talk about Malcolm X. We still talk about Muhammad Ali. In some circles, we still talk about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan, who are forebearers. These are people who left amazing footprints in America that allowed for what we see as contemporary Islam in many regards, take root. Now, which is really important, we gotta be consistent. We gotta be consistent. This is like the 3rd year that Ramadan has fell in February. We need to be consistent, and we need to celebrate not just the importance of Ramadan for our own selves, but as a community. I've seen this before, which is beautiful. I've seen during Ramadan that the iftars are open to the it's not just open to Muslims. They open the iftars to the community. They feed people, and that feeding of people continues to grow and strengthen the narrative about how important Islam has been in America, but also how important American contribution has been to Islam in America. Think about that. Okay, stop thinking. But in my mind, I see this as maybe it's a curriculum that MAGA is afraid of, that people who seek excellence get together, appreciate, coordinate, and build with people who seek excellence. You know, Black History Month is an archive of black. It's an archive of black excellence. Ramadan is a personal archive. We are working on ourselves, right? We're working on ourselves. We're trying to rewrite the story from not just last year, but yesterday, an hour ago. And we put it through this prism and this lens. And it seems like we have these two things that are really focused on the excellence of self, but also the excellence of community, the excellence of mission, but also the excellence of resistance. And I think, we can create a different type of dichotomy that's out here. And let me shout a couple people out. Brother Eric, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Beloved, what's going on? Ramadan Mubarak. Brother Bilal, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramadan Kareem. To you and your queen, Sister Sonia, Dolphin Salahuddin, good to see you in the house. But I will put that out, if you will. Next year, we need to have a joint Ramadan and a joint Black History Month thing. I just want to see it. Because I believe that if you get people in that space, recognizing the fact that both groups are seeking personal and communal excellence, I think that's just a powerful team. I think it speaks to a different type of spiritual communal growth that we're not seeing right now. Someone asked me if I watched. Someone asked me if I watched the State of the Union speech, and I said no because my job is to recognize patterns. Particular people in office, White House, they have the same patterns. Like if you're watching a TV show, if you watch Law and Order, you know that Law and Order follows a formula. At the beginning of the show, somebody just discovered dead. They chase around to find who it is. They find somebody. It's normally not that person. They got to find the right person. There's a trial, and then there's a verdict. You can literally set your clock. You want to find out who killed who on uh, Law and Order. You set your clock for the last 7 minutes of the show. Maybe we're not so predictable these days. Let me give a shout out. Live it up, 2020, how you doing? Ah, okay, what's going on, Imam Dawood? Good to see you, beloved. Good to see you. All right, Anthony Bardell, shout out. Sister Shabana, 123. My main man Jawad, Houston's finest. I want to give all of y'all Ramadan Mubarak and Zenapix joined us. I appreciate you. But someone asked me, and I think this, you know, the beautiful about Ramadan is, it's almost like Law and Order, except you're doing it on the calendar. First 10 days is this, the next 10 days is this, next day is this, and it's very cut. And mercifully, it's very cut. So we have a playbook. But I think, we, if at all possible, need to get out of the conundrum. Doing everything. Ramadan is moving touch. Black history is really gonna be touch. The only thing I've offered at this point in time on this platform is that we mutually are getting to a space where we could appreciate each other a lot. You know, always told stories of being a school teacher and having kids understand that, whether we were getting along, uh, whatever the case would be, when it came to Ramadan, kids made a decision about Ramadan. Now, keep in mind it wasn't during Black History Month, but the kids made a decision about Ramadan, which was we're going to give Mr. Moss 30 days. Hear me now. The children are going, we're going to give Mr. Moss 30 days. And why? Somehow, I don't take any credit for it. Somehow, somewhere, they had the spiritual nuance. I wasn't going to be at my best because I was trying to be my best. Hmm? I wasn't going to be the greatest teacher because I was trying to be the greatest teacher. To get to where I wanted to be, I had to go through this route. And they understood it. And at the same time, it was interesting because it was a conversation with students who were like, "Am I suffering?" And am I, kids was confusing to them. These are young men. Are you suffering? You don't have food. You don't have water. And it was a mind blowing experience. And I go, no, I have all those things, but I choose not to indulge in those things while the sun is up. And it created this conversation. And to the point I was saying earlier, it created new conversation, also new perspective. Through talking about Ramadan and fast, it gave us pathways to talk about where we come from, our spiritual choices, asking them, where you go to church? Where's your mom go to church? We don't go to church. I got an uncle that's Muslim, da da da. Oh, my auntie, she does, Ramadan too. And the thing was, and I think we shouldn't overlook it because I could be rambling. What was important was with Black History Month and Ramadan, particularly February, we have a month that's built on inherent good. We have a month that's built on inherent good. That there's good things here, there's good things here, and the whole space in this blessed month has allowed us to share it. So I would say Black History Month, shake hands with Ramadan, Ramadan, shake hands with Black History Month, and let's be stop. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. See you guys next week. Ramadan.